Hey guys, what's up? It's Carlile Maniac. If you're new to my channel, sit down, take off your coat, and stay a while, because today I'm going to be breaking down and reviewing Who Believes in Angels, which is a new release from the legendary Elton John and Brandi Carlile. So I saw that Elton John released some music which will be part of Elton's and Brandi's soon to be released album called Who Believes in Angels. I just saw Elton John's name and I was like, well, obviously I have to do this song, but at the same time, I'm kind of terrified to do this song because he's like a god in the world of music to most people. So I really am sorry if I mess this up somehow, and please don't kill me. I know Elton John and some of his music, but I'm not really a die-hard fan, so I don't know as much about him as some of you probably do. So again, I'm sorry. Anyway, I was going to do their song off their soon-to-be released album called Swing for the Fences. However, I was not a fan, so much to the point where I knew I couldn't listen to it over and over again and not just be terribly mean to the song, and then everyone would just hate my guts. So that's why we're not doing that song. This song starts off pretty slow with a classic piano melody and Brandi singing the first verse. Now, I'm not really a fan of Brandi's voice. It's kind of high and a little bit grating, to be honest, and seeing as she took the lead on this song, I was a little bit skeptical. But in this song, and especially in the beginning, she sings more in her lower register, and it's much more enjoyable. In the very beginning, she sings very beautifully and tenderly.
Don't need to laugh so hard. Don't have to wear.
As the verses and pre-choruses go on, I love her style even more. She adds a great layer of emotion through the technical aspects of her singing.
Does it cost to buy a soul back when you die?
These quieter moments are honestly the best parts of the song in my opinion. Brandi's voice is just rough enough to where it doesn't sound too soft or cushy next to Elton John's, which means they made a good decision in deciding to work together. Then later on, Elton John joins her for the second verse.
If I lived an easy life, would I still choose you?
Their voices together create this wonderful contrast because her voice is so high and clear and his voice is much lower and maybe a little bit on the rougher side, just a little bit. I especially enjoy where they have a little modulation in the pre-chorus and both voices blend together very nicely to make the modulation even better. And the differences between their voices make their vocal profiles very large on the frequency spectrum because they span over it quite a bit, him being pretty low and her being really high, and sometimes not as high.
What do you say we set the pleasantries aside?
Now, the first two verses of the song only have the piano melody and the vocals on top of it, which is nice and chill but still has a lot of feeling in it. Quiet doesn't always mean that there's less emotion or there's less going on. Okay? Then it builds up a little bit more in the second verse with the addition of some synths.
Breathing fire into the night.
Then in the tragic pre-chorus, we have some added parts like a guitar and some more synths. And by tragic chorus, I don't mean that it's bad. I mean that it sounds like what a heartbreak would sound like, if you can envision that.
Even the diamonds look like rocks to the untrained eye.
Then we have a freaking huge chorus compared to the pre-chorus, the verse, anything. It's like this massive release moment that comes right after all the tension that was built up in the pre-chorus. There's all kinds of instruments like all the ones that were playing before, and then including an electric guitar. Then it drops way down again for the next verse. And I find it very interesting how they switched from the distortion guitar chorus anthem to the gentle piano melody. And it's really not that complex, like they just have the electric guitar fade out while the piano melody comes in, but it's just kind of odd because you don't really hear those two things together often. Now, one prime example of when I don't like Brandi's voice is in the end of the song when she sings, "I have been there." Like, I'm sorry, but it just sounds like she's yelling. I can't imagine the amount of compression that they needed to put on that so it didn't overload the systems, or how much they had to turn down the input. When she's singing higher notes, her voice becomes very, very thin. But then when she sings lower notes, her voice rounds out and it becomes more smooth and more warm and full and pleasant. Then we have a cool synth-filled outro, which I appreciate because I love a good synth, and you would know that if you'd watched my review on Don Toliver's LV bag. Go watch it. And this little synth outro is like its own build-up, climax, and resolve. It's pretty cool. This song feels more like Elton's older stuff. It feels kind of retro, which is why I think I like it more than the other releases off the unreleased album. Like, I feel like the producers felt like they didn't have to have the song loud the whole time or have a beat throughout it, which I appreciated. Who Believes in Angels also feels like it's out of a Broadway production or just a regular musical. Like, can't you just imagine Brandi like staring out a window and then like the piano starts and she starts singing, and then like, let's just say that Elton John is the lover or something, and then he comes in singing and they have this whole moment while they're dancing and singing, and then they like, you know, that huge release part, you know, it's like musical perfection. There are huge contrasts between the verses, pre-choruses, and choruses, which makes this song very, very dynamic, and I am all here for it. Although the first time I heard the chorus, I was a little annoyed that it just became so loud out of nowhere, and so much was happening out of nowhere. But I'm also one of the people who gets annoyed when the sad-ish song, like the song that sounds sad, suddenly turns into a major song, or like a song that sounds happy. I'm like, you ruined the vibes, man. The vibes were good. What happened? But regardless, I think it still works very well. I'm gonna give this song a 9.1 on the Mellometer. I really liked it. I loved the soft spots in the verses and the pre-choruses. I love how Brandi used her voice in the aforementioned spots. I just am not that much of a fan of the chorus. It's on the simpler side, which makes it catchy, and it's very anthem-like, so you definitely would find yourself singing to it in the car. But like I said the first time I heard it, it was just a little unexpected. Like, I feel like they still could have had that huge amount of contrast without making the chorus like literally huge. Like it's the Empire State Building compared to sea level, the ocean, you know what I mean? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, or even if you didn't, please consider subscribing to the channel. Tell me what you guys thought of Who Believes in Angels by Elton John and Brandi Carlile in the comments below. Keep listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Yeah, man. Yeah. Well. But she's not always high, so whatever. And you would know that if you'd watched my LV review bag. And you would know that if you'd watched my review on Don Toliver's LV bag.